In February 2025, the average price for a ticket to the Super Bowl, the single biggest sporting event in American history, was $8,076. For that price, you get a halftime show, a military flyover by the Air Force, and the two best NFL teams fighting for a championship ring. It is the absolute pinnacle of American luxury. But on a random Friday night in Florida, for a regular season game that meant statistically nothing, one single ticket sold for $110,000. Think about that number for a second. $110,000. No halftime show, no Super Bowl rings on the line, just one single man. For the last 50 years, the NFL has been the undisputed king of the American economy. It is a machine that generates billions, untouchable and unrivaled. But in just 24 months, Lionel Messi didn't just challenge the king. He bought the castle. He turned a last-place soccer team into the hottest ticket on the planet, forcing billionaires and celebrities to beg for a seat. Today, we are looking at the books. We are breaking down the financial numbers that the NFL doesn't want you to see. This is the story of how a soccer player became a bigger economy than the Super Bowl. To understand this financial insanity, you first have to understand the world before he arrived, before July 2023. If you wanted to see Inter Miami play, it was cheaper than a trip to the movie theater. You could buy a ticket for $29. That is less than the price of parking at an NFL stadium. That is less than 2 beers at a baseball game. The stadium was quiet, the seats were empty, and the team was sitting at the very bottom of the league standings. Then, the news broke. And when I say the news broke, I mean the algorithms broke with it. The Messi spike was not a gradual curve. It was a vertical wall, overnight. Resale platforms like SeatGeek and StubHub saw their traffic surge by 1,000%. Let me repeat that. 1,000%. The average ticket price to watch a last-place soccer team suddenly cost more than a ticket to watch the Dallas Cowboys or the Kansas City Chiefs. But the averages hide the real story. The real story is about the Whales. For his debut match against Cruz Azul, the marketplace went completely chaotic. A seat next to the pitch, a seat that would usually cost a few $100s, was listed for $110,000 now. Critics will always say, listing a ticket is not the same as selling it, and that is a fair point. So let us look at what people actually paid. Tickets consistently moved for $10,000, $20,000, and $30,000 for regular season games. We are talking about prices that are usually reserved for the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals. But this was happening on a random Tuesday in Florida. Why? Because it was no longer just a game. It had become the ultimate status symbol in America. We measure fame by who shows up to watch you. Kino, when you go to the Super Bowl, you go to say you were there. You go for the clout. Key, when Messi landed in Miami, the biggest stars in American culture stopped what they were doing just to be in the building. LeBron James, the king of the NBA, walked onto the pitch to hug him. Kim Kardashian brought her children to the sideline. Serena Williams, the greatest tennis player of all time, was capturing it all on her phone. These are people who do not buy tickets. These are people who own the stadium, and yet, there they were. Fans. Just like everyone else. This is the economic shift that the NFL did not see coming. The NFL relies on the shield. It relies on the brand of the Super Bowl. Lionel Messi proved that a single human being could create a Super Bowl environment every single weekend, he turned a regular soccer match into a red carpet event. And when the rich and famous decide that your game is the place to be, the economy reacts accordingly. Scalpers made a year's worth of salary. In a single afternoon, hotels raised their prices by 500%. And for the first time in history, the most expensive ticket in American sports was not for a helmet and pads, it was for a pink jersey and the number 10. But Lionel Messi did not just stay in his lane. He swerved directly into the NFL's lane, and he took over the highway to understand the magnitude of this. You have to understand the economy of attention. The Super Bowl is famous for its commercials. In America, the commercials are often more important than the game itself. For decades, brands have fought a war to get their product on screen during the broadcast. The price for that privilege is staggering. In 2024, the going rate for a 30-second ad slot was $7 million. $7 million. For half a minute of airtime, it is the most expensive real estate on television. It is where movie studios launch their biggest blockbusters and where car companies reveal their future. But in 2024, Michelob Ultra did something unprecedented. They bought a 60-second slot. That is a $14 million bill just to keep the lights on. And who did they put in that $14 million slot? Not Patrick Mahomes, not Tom Brady, not a movie star. They paid $14 million to show a soccer player playing in the sand. This was Lionel Messi, hijacking the biggest American cultural event of the year. From the inside out. But the real disrespect, the real power move, is in the details of the commercial itself. If you look closely, you will see a man on a boat, catching a soccer ball and throwing it back to Messi. That man is Dan Marino. Dan Marino is an NFL Hall of Famer. He is a Miami Dolphins legend. He is royalty in the world of American football. And in this commercial, he is literally a spectator to Messi's greatness. He is a background character in his own sport's biggest advertising slot. Think about the psychology of that. The NFL charges $14 million for the time, and the brand used that time to show an NFL legend bowing to a soccer player. This was a signal to the US market. It said, the legends you grew up worshiping, the heroes of the gridiron, they are just fans of this guy. The ad went viral instantly. Usually, Super Bowl ads are about the product. This ad was about the person. It proved that Messi was no longer just an athlete. He had become a currency. He was the only person on earth who could justify a $14 million price tag. For 60 seconds of silence, the NFL thought they were selling ad space. What they were actually selling was the official transition of power. When the Super Bowl comes to a city, whether it is Las Vegas or New Orleans, economists call it an economic injection. Hotels sell out, restaurants are full, and Uber drivers make a killing. But that happens once a year. In one single city, Lionel Messi turned into a traveling Super Bowl. He took that economic explosion and he triggered it in a different American city every single week. Take the city of Chicago, for example. The local soccer team, the Chicago Fire, usually draws about 15,000 fans to a game. But when Messi was scheduled to visit Soldier Field, everything changed. They sold 62,000 tickets. They generated roughly $10 million in ticket revenue in a single afternoon. To put that into perspective, that is more money than the club usually makes in an entire season. Then there is Kansas City. They had to move the soccer game to Arrowhead Stadium, the massive home of the NFL's Kansas City Chiefs, because the demand was simply too high. And who was waiting in the tunnel to greet him? Patrick Mahomes, the face of the NFL. The man who owns the league, he later admitted on a podcast that he was nervous to meet Messi. Think about the weight of that statement. The man chasing Tom Brady's rings, the biggest star in American football, was shaking hands with a soccer player like a fan meeting his idol. That is not just sports, that is aura. This Messi effect pumped millions of dollars into local economies across the United States. He forced American sports fans to open their wallets for a sport they had previously ignored. The NFL brings the show once a year. Lionel Messi is the show. Everywhere he goes, NFL teams are worth billions because they have 50 years of history, massive TV deals, and generational loyalty. The average NFL team is worth about $5.1 billion before Messi. Inter Miami was worth roughly $600 million. After just 24 months of Messi, $1.2 billion. He doubled the value of the franchise. In 2 years, no NFL player in history has ever done that alone. When Tom Brady went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their value went up. Sure, but he did not double the franchise value overnight. Messi did not just join a team. He IPO'd it. He brought Apple TV into the deal, securing a $2.5 billion global streaming partnership, and in December 2025, he delivered the final receipt, lifting the MLS Cup trophy. He positioned the league for the future. While the NFL is still fighting for TV ratings, this was not a transfer. It was a hostile takeover of the American sports economy. So, did Lionel Messi actually beat the Super Bowl in terms of total revenue? No. The NFL is a financial monster that generates $20 billion a year. But remember this, the NFL is a machine built on 32 teams and 100 years of American history. Lionel Messi is one single man. And for one man to come into the NFL's backyard, to charge $110,000 for a ticket, to force Patrick Mahomes to bow down in the tunnel, and to double the value of a franchise in just 24 months, that is not just an economic victory. That is the definition of the greatest of all time. What do you think? Is Messi's economic impact more impressive than Tom Brady's 7 rings? Let us know in the comments below. And subscribe if you want to see the numbers that they do not show you on ESPN.